One of the hardest parts about RuneScape is logging into the game after a long time, or even for the first time, and figuring out what to do exactly. There are hundreds of quests, 29 skills to train, 4 combat styles, money to be made, and so much more to do on top of that. And that's exactly why you clicked on this video, and of course, I'm here to help you. Yes, shocker, surprise, I know. With 2026 changing so much in RuneScape 3, or well, RuneScape now, like adding plugins like Old School has, skilling and combat rebalances, dailies and other time-locked activities changing, and so much more. There's simply a lot for me to cover. The way I usually approach these videos is simply explain to you what to do and what to ignore. However, as this will be such a transformative year in RuneScape, the approach will be slightly different. Of course, I will still tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing, but on top of that, I also add a little segment after certain parts of the video on specific changes and how they will apply to you once they have gone live. Hopefully, this way, the video will not just teach you what to do right now, but also give you an understanding on how certain changes in the future will affect you. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below or join my Discord, linked in the description. Leave a like to help me push this video to as many people as possible, and of course, subscribe to never miss any Chev content. Now enough yapping, my name's Chevalric, and let's get into the video. Before we get into anything at all, please use the Runescape wiki link down below. It's obviously not what you want to hear in a video like this, because you just want me to tell you what to do, but the truth is, I can't cover everything. If you need to find out what an item does, what training method to do at which level, the best gear setups for a boss, or how to do a quest, it's all on the wiki, so please use it. But now, let's get actually into the tips, because honestly, 2026 is so good already, because I usually have to spend the first 5 minutes explaining on how to use the Dog Water UI, but RuneScape actually created a new base UI called Classic Mode. This interface should be enabled by default, and in case it isn't, search for it in the settings menu by pressing escape and then typing in Classic. Oh, and regarding settings, please don't go look for anything, just type in whatever you think you need changed and hope to find it. Because oh boy, it is still hard to navigate even after the recent changes to it. A quick tip I can give you is actually setting up high contrast mode in the accessibility settings menu. This might sound weird if you're not visually impaired like myself, but it actually is quite good to use during quests. This setting highlights items, NPCs and interactables when enabled, and can be very useful to find that one tiny item the quest guide tells you to look for. You can activate high contrast mode by right-clicking the world map or adding a keybind for it in the control settings menu to easily toggle between having it on and off. Let's actually talk about even more keybinds, but more importantly, what they relate to: combat. Something that will change a lot throughout this year, as they're looking to modernize and to an extent simplify RuneScape's combat system. As of the release date of this video, I'd still recommend you use the Necromancy combat style. This style is quite powerful and designed for newer players, due to it offering less variety in abilities and a clear upgrade path by completing killie tasks every 10 levels. These tasks are unlocked after the Killie Row quest at level 20 Necromancy, and pretty much allow you to upgrade your gear from tier 10 all the way through to tier 90. For combat, you want to have the Revolution combat system enabled, the yellow outline around your action bar, which should be on by default, allowing the game to cast abilities for you. Once again, you can find any related Revolution settings by typing in Revolution in the settings search bar. If you actually want to learn RuneScape's combat a bit better, I'd recommend you set up your Revolution bar a bit differently. As you can tell, the yellow bar covers most of your action bar. You can actually change this in the settings menu, so it covers only a few slots of it, casting those abilities within the yellow outline automatically, and the rest of them having to be cast manually. What you want to do, if you actually want to learn RuneScape combat a little bit better, is have the highlighted slots filled up with your basic abilities. These are the abilities that give you adrenaline, so Necromancy, those are Soul Sap, Touch of Death and the general Necromancy attack. And then you just want to keybind your adrenaline spending abilities, which you then have to manually press, so Finger of Death, Soul Strike, Death Skulls, etc. This way, you know you will always do damage by casting your basics, but you can actually use the good attacks at the right times, which you will have to learn when that is, of course, as if I go explain that for every single boss in the game, this video will be extremely long, I will make a lot of money, but you will be incredibly bored. The simple TLDR of it, build adrenaline with basics, spend them with the other more powerful abilities. When it comes to setting up your keybinds, I'd highly recommend you use the left side of your keyboard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, QWER, etc. And of course, there's so much more to combat than I just explained. But to just give you a quick overview, use Revolution, and as soon as you're ready to learn a little bit more about combat, use Revolution for your basic abilities and cast your actual good abilities yourself. And to put this into perspective, I'm a very endgame player. I still use Revolution to cast my basic abilities, and I cast my powerful abilities myself. So you can literally do anything in the game with that. So don't let anyone tell you that you need to learn full manual. Now, for the extra segment I was talking about earlier, throughout this year, Jagex is planning to change combat around, making the other combat styles, ranged, magic and melee, more in line with how necromancy works. So that would mean the same philosophy will apply to those styles as it does with necromancy regarding the way to set up your action bars and using your abilities and having less abilities, etc. The only thing that will work differently for those other styles is how you will upgrade your gear, as the gear from the other styles are dropped from bosses and aren't a part of a linear progression system. So I would still recommend necromancy for anyone who just wants a very linear experience, but if you want a more MMO experience, then you probably want to use the other styles once they are updated. Speaking of those bosses, which should you actually be doing? The ones I recommend you take on first are the following. Once they've released, the 2 low-level bosses on the new continent Havenite, as they are designed as an introduction to combat. Next up is the Flesh Hatcher eyeball thing, that's already in the game, and is honestly your next best bet, as yet again, it's designed for low-level players and can be taken on around level 50 or 60-ish combat. And finally, the Arc Laser, which is found in the Elder God Wars dungeon. It's also a very good early game boss to take on, as you can enable up to 5 mechanics or simply learn them one by one. You can literally turn on whichever one you want and turn off whichever one you want and just kind of practice from there. If combat isn't really your thing or you're simply looking for different ways to progress your account, quests will be your best friend. A rule of thumb I'd always apply to questing and even skilling because it's kind of interconnected. Do you need a level in a skill, say crafting for example? Are there any quests you can do right now that give crafting experience? I'll put a list of which quests give what type of experience in the description down below. Don't worry, so you don't have to look it up. But that's probably the best rule of thumb that I can give you. The reason why is quite simple. A lot of early quests give 2 to 5k XP per quest and are actually still meaningful when you do them early on. And you're slowly progressing your account by completing quests, as most later quests require you to do earlier quests anyway. So having those completed bit by bit instead of one long boring quest grind is just better in general long term as well. Now take a shot for every time I said quest just now. In all seriousness though, there are some endgame quests you definitely want to work towards. Obviously start off with the classic Dragon Slayer quest because it's not really needed, but it's just so iconic. You need 32 quest points to complete it anyway. There's a little bit of challenge to it, and I just think it's a must-do for anyone playing Runescape. But the next few might seem a bit longer away, especially the latter ones I'm going to be mentioning, but that's exactly why I'm doing so. They should be your chase goal. Quests like Desert Treasure, unlocking the powerful ancient magic spells, the Temple of Sentistan quest, unlocking Curse Prayers, which are an upgraded version of regular prayers, so pretty much more powerful. The World Wakes, which besides it being a beautiful quest with incredible music and such deep lore, it also unlocks damage boosting abilities for both magic and ranged. The Plague's End quest, which unlocks the Elven City of Prifddinas with so many good skilling methods, but also requiring you to get level 75 in most skills, which would be a nice groundwork for your account. And of course, the Fort 4 and 3's Necromancy questline, as they're intertwined, unlocking the Fort, which is a great place to scale, but also unlocks a great Slayer Master in the Raptor, and later on a very good moneymaker in the Gate of Elitness skilling boss. Before we talk about skilling and leveling further, let's talk about something fun. Capitalism. Yay! But seriously though, you do gotta make your money, and I think to most people it's very obvious that beating bosses, especially in the end game, is the best moneymaker, and that's true. Yet you're a pleb who can't do that yet, so instead focus on the following ones. Of course, disclaimer, this can change, but overall these are always very solid. Making frames in the fort. Completing clue scrolls for fortune components, aka cosmetic items drop from them that are roughly 1 million GP each and can actually drop from each tier of clue. Crafting runes, and especially necromancy runes. Tending hides, as yes, buying royal or black dragon hides and tending them for an hour is actually good money. Crafting battle staves, or making teleport tablets in your house. There are a lot of very simple, low requirement money makers that can make you a lot of money. I actually want to throw in a bit of a speculative and quite honestly quite interesting money maker, which might not work at all, but bear with me. With all the MTX related items being removed early 2027, people will actually need proper supplies. So there's a possibility that gathering actual supplies like logs and other things that people need for training might actually be worth your time. So look into it. I don't know if it's gonna work, but who knows? Maybe it's a hidden money maker that I just discovered and made up on the spot. So let's talk about something to spend that money on. Skilling. Yeah, we're not talking about gear upgrades because you're most likely using necromancy anyway, but TLDR, always spend your money on gear, as money isn't gonna make you more money when it's not spent on gear. More damage equals faster or more difficult bosses killed, and well, that obviously gives you more money. Skilling is an interesting one, as it will drastically change during this year. Why, you ask? Well, there are a lot of D&Ds and dailies, weeklies and monthlies that give so much experience that the actual method of training becomes near irrelevant. Take caches for divination, for example. You are better off doing this twice a day, every hour, than training the actual skill. Which sounds ridiculous, but it is unfortunately true. Sure, go do them right now if they're still available, but also keep in mind that they might be changed or removed, and don't get too attached to them. Instead, I'd like to teach you something else about skilling. Time efficiency versus money saved. A lot of people think about skilling as follows. I can make 4 million GP over 4 hours and get my next level instead of losing 10 million GP and it only taking an hour to get my level. I then gained 4 million GP and got my level. Which sounds efficient, but it isn't. Because most likely, in the 3 hours you have left over, because you saved that time by spending more money, you could probably make that GP you would have saved back and then some. Let's say your best money maker is 5 million GP an hour. In those 3 hours, you will have made 15 million GP. And of course, you spent that 10 million GP on getting your level. You would still have 1 million GP extra profit over you saving money and have the level you aimed for. I hope I explained that well, but seriously, look at what the best money making method available to you brings in, and of course you don't mind doing, and then calculate how are you going to train the skill. Of course, don't let me take away from your enjoyment, but this is a big tip that I can give you that can save you time long term. Just like this final tip, I would like to share with you. The biggest noob trap in RuneScape, buying membership with bonds, bought with in-game GP. Before I explain why, let me clarify that I do understand that there are people watching this video that could simply not afford membership any other way than bonds due to in real life financial situations. This tip will obviously not apply to those people. However, if you can afford membership with IRL money, please don't buy bonds. As me making this video, a bond is worth 140 million GP and gives you 14 days of membership. That means that you have 14 days every time you become member to make 140 million GP. Most of you guys watching this will at best have a method available to you that gives you 10 million GP an hour. That is also probably quite boring to do. So that means that out of the 2 weeks of membership, you will be spending 14 hours every single time to just grind out money to buy your next membership. Sure, if you don't mind doing that, go ahead. But it does create a toxic playstyle in the sense that you're always worried about your GP, because otherwise you can't really play RuneScape, because let's be honest, free to play kind of sucks. That 140 mil, to put that in perspective, can be used to get 99 prayer twice, buy a tier 95 mage wand, or get yourself a full set of tier 90 ranged armor. These things will make you more money long term than a bond, and it only becomes worth buying membership with bonds as soon as you start making like real good money an hour, like 40, 50, 60 million GP an hour, and that will not be until really endgame. So yeah, those are all my tips and tricks. What else would you like to see from me when it comes to RuneScape content? Let me know down below, and don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to never miss a video, and my name's Chevalric, and I'll see you guys in my next video.